Good evening today. I such great weather today. It's probably why we don't have the large crowd today. But so action resulting from the closed session, the board has returned from closed session, and while at closed session, the board took action to place certificated employee number SM 7353210 on the 24th reemployment list effective July 1st, 2023. Okay, 7 o'clock. Our regular roll call meeting is at 7:19. Roll call. Mr. Bell,
Present.
Dr. Finley,
Here.
Ms. Diaz,
Present.
Ms. Holguin,
Here.
and I'm here. Flag salute. Rosa will say the flag salute.
Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And James, Dr. Finley, would you like to say our beliefs?
I would love to. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Our beliefs. We believe we are a community of learners. We believe learning occurs in a culture of caring and respect. We believe all students are motivated to learn when they are engaged in meaningful work that connects to their lives. We believe expectations do influence performances and outcomes. We believe learning increases when there are high expectations for performance and conduct. We believe we have the responsibility to find solutions that enable all students to learn. Our vision is 21st century schools producing 21st century students, and our mission is to provide the knowledge, skills, and inspiration for each student for success in college, career, and life.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say we have some dignitaries, some from our great partnership with Citrus College. We have Co Lamoureux, who's here. We have Dr. Grace Schultz, who's here, and also Cheryl Alexander. And when I say we are so happy to have them here, and they do wonderful things for our school, and this partnership is amazing in our school district because of them. Thank you for being here.
Welcome.
Okay, let's go on to adoption of the agenda.
Madam President, so as the board gets ready to take action, I do want to note that on item number 20, professional services agreement with Nichols Strategies, there was one typographical error that was in the actual agreement. The agreement should read effective July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. It reflects its typographical issue. It says June 1, 2023 to June 30, 2023. So we just need to reflect that it actually is from June 1, 2023 to June 30, 2024. Otherwise, it is all correct from there.
Oh, okay, got it. Do I have a motion to approve the adoption of the agenda?
So
Move to-
moved.
Second.
Okay, so move, who's the first one? Oh, James, okay, sorry. And second was Mr. Bell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Presentation, I guess, is our next line of item. Let's see. Okay. Go.
Thank you, Madam President. So at this time, we are pleased. We've recognized our dignitaries that are here in the room, but we're also going to have the opportunity and the pleasure to have a presentation from our folks and our partners at Citrus College. And so I'll ask Trustee Alexander and President Schultz, as well as Mr. Lamoureux. I'm not sure who's presenting. All come up or one come at a time, but we welcome you to come and present at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Emerson, and members of the school board and staff. It's an honor to be with you tonight. Thank you for the kind introduction. So we'll begin with a presentation. My name is Greg Schultz, and I'm proud to serve as the superintendent president at Citrus College.
All right.
We'd like to thank our partners at the Duarte Unified School District for inviting us this evening, but also for this powerful ongoing partnership to serve the children and families in the Duarte community.
Indeed.
Let's see here. Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge two important members of the Citrus College and Duarte community, and that would be our trustee Cheryl Alexander, who's here this evening, and trustee Marianne Lutz, who primarily serves a neighboring city of Monrovia and portions of Duarte and Bradbury as well. So she couldn't be with us tonight, but she sends her greetings. And trustee Alexander and I are so pleased to be with you tonight.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you.
As you know, trustee Alexander, who's here tonight, represents trustee area 3, which includes Duarte, portions of Azusa, Monrovia, Arcadia, Covina, and Irwindale. It's been an honor to work with each of them, trustee Lutz and trustee Alexander, and members of the board as we serve our community. So I've been at Citrus College serving in this role since the summer of 2021, and it's been a real pleasure to not only get to know our faculty and staff, alumni, but also our community partners and many people from throughout the Duarte community and the San Gabriel Valley. I'd like to share just a little bit about Citrus College. If you didn't know, we were founded in 1915 by educator Floyd Hayden,
Know that.
and we're the oldest community college in Los Angeles County, and the 5th oldest in the state of California. That is 116 community colleges statewide, so our Citrus College is the 5th oldest. We have a beautiful 104-acre campus that includes 44 buildings and 7 outdoor athletic facilities. We proudly serve almost 200,000 residents living in the communities of Duarte, Claremont, Monrovia, Bradbury, Azusa, and Glendora, as well as portions of Covina, Irwindale, Pomona, San Dimas, and Laverne. This past year, we're proud to share with you that Citrus College has been recognized for various accolades, including being named a military-friendly school. We're very proud of that for the 13th consecutive year. So we have a strong veteran success center on campus. We also recently received an award by the Campaign for College Opportunity, recognizing Citrus College as an equity champion of higher education, in particular for the success of our Latinx and Black and African American students in both degree completion and transfer. The college also earned an Excellence in Energy and Sustainability Award from the California Community College Board of Governors for the modernization of our Educational Development, or ED Center, which is slated to reopen for classroom instruction this fall, and we're having a ribbon cutting on August 10th. If your schedule permits, we'd love to have you with us to celebrate that opening, and we can follow up with Dr. Emerson to make sure we share the details with you, but August 10th. On the enrollment front, we have great news. Our enrollment is growing back, and we're really excited about it. As of June 28th, yesterday, our headcount enrollment for this summer session was at 6,643 students, compared to 6,320 last summer at this time. So that's an increase of about 5.1%. So our fall and spring, as you can imagine, are our largest semesters. But for summers, over 6,600 students, we're really excited about it. And when we get to the fall, we project that we'll have over 10,000 students enrolled in the fall. We offer many in-person classes on our beautiful campus, but also many online classes. And as you can imagine, in the pandemic and when many of our areas were closed and then began to come back in greater numbers, the majority of our classes in that period were online. But over 2/3 of our classes right now are offered in person on campus, with slightly less than 1/3 in either a hybrid format or online. And we love our beautiful campus, but we also recognize and do our best to serve all students who have a variety of needs, including working adults and some who have found that the online environment meets their needs the best. But we definitely have a growing on-campus population as well. And at a cost of $46 a unit, it's a good value. There's financial aid and scholarships available. We have a foundation that helps so many of our students with the cost of college. And here's the thing too, which we've talked about with Dr. Emerson, we're so proud of, is that for many students, including students coming right from Duarte High School, any first-time college student can attend Citrus College tuition-free for 2 years. So what an incredible value that presents to our community.
Say that a little louder. Just say
Yes,
that a little
yes,
louder.
thank you. That is the College Promise Program. The Citrus College Promise Program, any first-time college student who enrolls full-time is eligible for 2 years tuition-free.
Man,
2 years tuition-free. So we're excited about it, very proud. Trustee Alexander is going to share a little bit more with you.
Thank you. Dr. Emerson, members of the board, staff, it's wonderful to be here to speak with you tonight. We have lots of great things going on at Citrus College. In 2020, Citrus College established a DEI task force. The purpose of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force is to understand how we, faculty, staff, and students, as an institution, can actively influence the social change needed to make an impactful differences in eliminating structural racism while also promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. In April 2022, the college hired a DEI director, Ms. Tynesha Thomas. Since joining the community college, she has done a wonderful job improving the college culture of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Recently, several dozen staff members gathered for our first equity walks. These events sought to create an equitable and transparent environment on campus by identifying areas in branding and resources where we can be more inclusive in messaging and accessibility. In addition to the DEIA Plus and Human Resources, we'll soon be working with the USC's Race and Equity Center through the Hiring Institute. 30 Citrus College colleagues will be selected to join the institute and begin having equity-minded discussions around hiring data, screening criteria, employment retention, and more. Citrus College, I'm sorry, I forgot is that slide 8? Right, mental health, right there. Citrus College also has a robust student wellness center on campus and many services available to students and employees. Last year, we hired a mental health supervisor, Nadine Hindley, to strengthen the mental health and wellness resources available to our campus community. We've also recently added 2 part-time mental health therapists to provide extra support. I want to thank everyone at Duarte Unified for their support to our educational partnership. As you know, dual enrollment is a fantastic program that allows high school students to enroll in courses in the fall, spring, and summer that earns them both college and high school credits. During the 2022-2023 academic year, there were a total of 29 dual enrollment sections offered in Duarte Unified. Across the district, there were 708 enrollments in these courses. For the upcoming academic year, there will be 28 dual enrollment sessions offered in Duarte Unified. That is amazing. At Citrus College, we are thrilled that so many students are taking advantage of this opportunity. Now, I'd like to share a few data points that show how connected Duarte Unified and Citrus College are. As of May 17th, 217 of our students are current high school students from Duarte. 51 are Duarte Unified alumni who graduated the past year. An additional 155 Duarte Unified alumni graduated more than a year ago. And 460 Citrus College students are residents of Duarte. How was that?
That
That's
sounds
incredible.
good. Yeah, we like that.
Okay. Dr. Schultz?
All right. Well, we mentioned our colleague and a great leader on our campus. He's here with us tonight, Mr. Co Lamoureux. So
All right.
Co leads our thriving International Student Center on campus. We're very proud of it, and we're very excited about a partnership, thanks to the leadership of Dr. Emerson and your team and with support from the board, a really unique partnership in combination with Duarte School District and Citrus College. So a little bit about this International Student Center. I've really been impressed to not only learn about the International Students Program at Citrus College, which is unique among the community colleges, but also the unique opportunities that students who come to Duarte School District have from an international pipeline. At Citrus College, as I mentioned, we're fortunate to have a wonderful program led by Co Lamoureux. Over the years, we've consistently been ranked as a top destination for international students in the Institute of International Education's Open Doors survey. We've got a terrific staff. We have dedicated space on campus. And the staff are committed to assisting and supporting our international students through a warm and engaging environment, excellent resources, transfer assistance, and professional opportunities. Our ISC offers students fun activities and events that promote intercultural friendship. Currently, we have a few international students who started at Duarte High School as international students and have come to Citrus College, and we're excited about opening that pathway even wider with support of Duarte Unified School District. One of the most memorable events of the year is our annual commencement, and it's held at our outdoor Citrus College Stadium. And on June 16th, this was the first commencement in recent memory. We held it on a Friday evening. We had gone on Saturday for several years. And as we know, in the Valley, it gets rather warm in June on a Saturday. So we moved it to the evening with input from our students and their families, and it was a great success this past June. Overall, 1,395 students graduated from Citrus College during the 2022-23 academic year. Many of the students achieved multiple certificates or awards or degrees. In total, 1,969 associate degrees were awarded. Top programs included business administration, psychology, pre-allied health, sociology, and administration of justice and criminal justice. We also awarded 2,248 total certificates, often designed as career certificates designed to put students right to work in the economy. Some of the top programs in this group of programs include cosmetology, barbering esthetician, automotive technology, real estate, diesel technology, heavy equipment, child development and early childhood education, and vocational nursing.
Dr. Schultz, just before you go forward, 'cause we definitely want to see the video, Board President Carol and I were smiling because the graduate you have pictured there she's a Duarte High School alum. So I don't know if that was on purpose, but of all the pictures you could have chosen, that is a Duarte High School grad.
It's Faith. So the girl on the left is actually one of my daughter's best friends. And now she's going to UC Irvine. So all the kids in that group friend all went to universities. And actually my daughter just graduated this last a week or so ago, from UCLA. So they're all very UC, really smart kids that came from Duarte. I'm going to say they worked hard. And thank you. And she went there. You know why? Because it saved her money. I know that. That was huge.
That's awesome. Thank you for pointing that out. And she's what we would call affectionately an owl anteater, right? Citrus College to UCI. Duarte to Citrus College to UCI. And I think it's an incredible choice. I could probably be blamed for being biased. But in my own family, I'm a community college graduate, proudly. I attended Fullerton College, transferred to Cal State University Fullerton, as did my wife. And I think it's a personal choice, but I think when families consider and make the choice to have the children educated in outstanding Duarte schools and then possibly attend Citrus College promised 2 years free, onto UCI, UCLA, Cal State Los Angeles, Cal Poly Pomona, we think it's a great choice, saves thousands of dollars.
Hey, you got that right.
Yes. So next, I have a brief video to show. This is from our commencement a year ago. I tell you, I'm going to be really impressed if you spot Duarte students in the video, but you might. Because as you learn, Trustee Alexander shared, there's over 460 Duarte community members who are at Citrus College, and many graduates, as you pointed out. So I'll play that video next. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you. Again, it's such an honor for us to be guests at your meeting for a portion of your meeting and hopefully share some information that's helpful and maybe something you already knew, but we're so honored to be partners with the district and to, in partnership, serve the families in the Duarte community. So thank you, and if there's any questions that we can try to answer, we'll do our best, or any comments you have.
Questions? Mr. Bell has one?
Not so much a question as much as, Ms. Alexander, you don't mind if I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. I know we had spoken previously because when I saw the international student group you had, I'm the international coordinator here for Duarte Unified, and she and I had been talking about us connecting. The students that come here to visit, we would like to visit Citrus at the same time or somewhere in that same period of time that they're here. So look forward to it. Again, I'm gonna give you my business card. We'll make sure we connect. Because just looking at this and seeing the young people, I mean, it just made me feel, I just felt really, really good to see that we have a unified college in our midst, and sometimes I think we miss it. So again, thank you very much for being here, and Ms. Alexander, we're going to have to hook up. You hear me? Thank you very much.
Have a question?
Yeah, just a comment. Thank you very much for coming and sharing this information with us. When I was at Duarte High School, I went to Citrus College. I think I took, I don't know, a stats class or calculus class there. And I remember it was a night class because I was, at school during the day. And I would always stop at Taco Bell on the way over there. And I'd get myself, this was back when soft tacos were 39 cents or something like that. And I was just thinking to myself, I remember tuition was $13 a credit hour. This is back in 98, I think. And I was thinking to myself, as you were going over all this stuff, I thought, I bet tuition is probably like 95 or 100 a credit hour. And so when you said was it 46 or 43?
46.
I said, how is that possible? That is fantastic. I mean, you can really get yourself an amazing education there, and really that is a dollar amount that is achievable to just about anybody. And then when you say the first 2 years is free, I was like, wait a minute, I retroactively want a refund. That is just so exciting that you're able to do that. And You know, I've guest lectured at Citrus several times, and it is really inspiring to see, you know, especially in the night classes that I've taught there, the students that are there, they want to be there. This isn't, you know, mom and dad pushing them to be there. This is a group of kids that are looking at their lives and saying, I want to do something more, and that's ultimately reflected in all of those degrees, those certificates that you mentioned. Just really exciting and fantastic to see that work that's being done at the college. And you know, I am, you know, I've got 3 kids, 2 of whom are at Duarte High School or will be this coming year. Both are enrolled in early college, and then my daughter is doing an actual out of early college online class, cultural geography, this summer, and it just started on Monday, and she's very excited about it. So you know, I'm so thrilled and proud to have this partnership with Citrus College, because it really has the potential to drastically change people's lives for the better, and that's such a gift that we can give to our community here in Duarte. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes. It is amazing to be able to partnership with Citrus College and to see that at the end the results are amazing. Last night I had company coming to dinner at home, and there was a girl that goes to high school in LA, and I asked her if they have any early college programs for her, and she goes, no, I haven't heard about it. I never hear that there's any college that is giving us that opportunity. And I have families here in Duarte that they call me and ask me, how can we enroll? And I just tell them, you know, this is the way you do it. And then later on they call me and say, thank you, we did it. My son is already enrolled. And if I need any help, I either call Dr. Emerson or Mr. Crosby or Dr. Hillman, and they help me to help the people in the community. But I want to share that 1997, I decided to run for school board. And I didn't thought the responsibility that I was about to get into it. But I decided to go into Citrus College and learn English. Yes, English, because I needed it. And so I went for 2 semesters, and then I stopped. But probably I can enroll again when I retire from the board. And my oldest daughter, she did graduate from Citrus College too. But I like to brag a lot about a student that is in our community, and her parents grew up in that street, in the street where I live. Her name is Diana, and Dr. Emerson knows who I'm talking about, Diana Marquez. And I'm gonna let Dr. Emerson talk about Diana Marquez, because he did help me to go and do a lot during the pandemic with that girl. And so, take it over.
Yeah, I'll respond to that, but also I'll piggyback and just make a quick comment, Madam President, with your permission. Yeah, so Diana Marquez, she graduated from Duarte High School at the age of 15 years old, with over 100 credits from Citrus. And she did that, and the only thing we were able to do was basically wave at her as she went through in the car, because it was when we did the drive-through commencements right in the midst of the throes of the pandemic. With that being said, I had the privilege of going to her home and meeting her parents and her younger sibling, who's outstanding, by the way, as well, at doing what he's doing at Maxwell. And what I can share is not only did she take advantage of the opportunities that we provided through Duarte High School and our partnership with Citrus, she then went on to Cal Poly Pomona. She's already finished her engineering degree. I believe she's like a 19 or 20-year-old practicing engineer at this point. And it's because of the partnership. It is because of the visionary kind of leadership from the board and from our community college trustees that allows these types of things to happen. And so I thank Board Member Diaz for reminding us that those types of opportunities are available to our students and to our community because of partnerships and because of these thriving relationships that we've built. So I'm going to take the last moment to say to you, Dr. Schultz, that I appreciate your steadfast leadership and partnership, because it has been a seamless continuation of the relationship and the partnership as you've come on and your leadership in working with me. And so I appreciate you as a friend and as a fellow leader who's trying to do strategic and innovative work. I just thank you for that. So thank you.
And I was going to say for myself that my son is going to be attending Citrus College in fall. So I'm really excited about that. And also, just to put in perspective, about $46 a unit. My daughter took one class during the summer at UCLA. I think it cost us $1,800 for that one class. But it was important for her to take it because how difficult or, it's hard to get in sometimes some of these classes. So that's how much you can spend in a university over a city college, and taking a class. So it can be quite expensive. But I'm happy for my son to actually, it's funny, my brother actually attended Citrus College too. I went to PCC, but he went to Citrus because we live more in that direction. But he did, and several of my friends did too. So it's like a blessing to have an early college program at a school where you have that, where kids can take the opportunity, plus the books that they also get from it. You have to think of the cost on that too. So thank you so much again. And I think Dr. Emerson.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't. We do have the privilege and the honor of having two trustees represent our community and represent this area. And what I will tell you is that we couldn't be better served by two trustees. With Trustee Lutz, her engagement, Trustee Alexander, who contacts me, works with me, invites me to different engagement opportunities. I think that their level of engagement and visibility and their steadfast, service to their constituents, I think is second to none. So thank you for that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or any comment? Okay. Thank you so much for being
I
here.
just
Go
had
ahead.
one other comment that I am your representative. So if you do need help with a student and want to make a connection, I'll leave my cards on the table over here, and you can just contact me directly, and we'll take care of any matters that you might have.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
again.
Excellent.
Thank you.
excellent.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. If it's all right, we're going to set a few copies of our annual report on the table with
Okay.
staff
Great.
for you later.
Thank you.
And then, just one more thing, my apologies. I just have to say, beyond all that's been shared, I've really appreciated immediately getting a chance to work with Dr. Emerson, who invited me personally for a walking tour as we walked beautiful Duarte High School campus and got to meet the incredible scholars who learn there. Teachers gave them their space, but they would invite us in. So we'd say hi to the teachers when they waved us in, and the scholars that you have there, and what a beautiful place for learning. And just keep up the great work. And again, we're so privileged to be your partner and serve these families. We're really excited about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah. Thank you. I guess moving on to, we have another presentation on the budget for the fiscal year 2023 and 24. I guess Ms. Tiffany Bell will come up to the presentation.
I'm so excited.
You got a
Good
large
evening, board.
audience. You got a really large audience. There you go.
Good morning. See, so excited I am. Oh, good evening, board, Madam President. It is my pleasure to present tonight the adopted budget for 23-24. So tonight we're going to discuss the budget timeline, school economics, the May revised talking points, what's going on in California, our risks to the budget, our budget compliance overview, funded ADA and UPP, our assumptions, ongoing programs, general revenue expenditures, fund cash balance, COVID funds, and our next steps. So this is our budget preparation timeline, and we are here in June. and this is our second meeting. And in our second meeting, we will adopt the LCAP and the budget. So when it comes to preparing the budget, it's just not the process of compiling the numbers. I also always want to educate you on how it's developed and what goes into actually looking at the big picture of the budget and not focusing only on Duarte. I wanted to make sure that you understood the economy as a whole and that you understood how funds are given to schools and how we actually work every day. So in California, schools are funded by property tax, income tax, and sales tax. Income and sales tax are more volatile during income tax and sales tax are more volatile revenue sources, which means that if we don't have income tax or sales tax, then we don't get money for the school. And so I need everybody to understand that, because what happens is usually we get up and we discuss how bad Duarte is doing. But I want to give you a big picture of the economy as a whole, California, and then Duarte. So the picture is not just poor Duarte, it's everybody in this economy at this time period. So our LCFF is our local control funding formula, and it's established as a base grant so that we're equally funded. Before the LCFF, it was schools in higher revenue, higher, more affluent areas, they receive more property tax and sales tax because that's who lived there. And the lower income cities did not receive as much money. So now there's a LCFF, which gives everybody a base grant. So everybody starts at the same place, and then we get supplemental and concentration funds because of where we are. English language learners are socially economic disadvantaged pupils, and so it makes an even playing field. So in the economy, everybody knows that the housing market has been in a recession and there's increasing mortgage rates. Good thing is the minimum wage is going up to maybe $16 in January, but then that also affects the economy too. So it's approximately 60% of all school districts are general purpose, 40% are restricted. So we have a lot of money that is for certain things, and then there's the lesser amount of money is for only restricted things. So the economy as a whole, there's interest rates going up, the banks are failing, the debt ceiling fight in Washington, D.C., and those things have potential impacts on the economy as a whole. So our May revised talking points. So in January, when the governor came out with his report, we said, okay, great. So we won't be so bad, but we'll see what's going to happen. But in May, he came out and said, well, your California revenues have continued to underperform, causing the governor now to recognize a $31.5 billion budget shortfall, where he anticipated in January $22.5 billion. Again, this is California, not just Duarte. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. Although there's going to be a shortfall, the state will protect the loss control funding. So we will be protected with the money that they're going to give us. So our base will be okay. So there's nearly a decline in the Standard & Poor's at 500%. The good thing in the May revise that President Biden recognizes special ed as a big cost to schools. And with over 5 million kids identified as special ed, there's a potential for a grant for $18.2 billion. And that will be spread out throughout the United States. But it's $18.2 billion, and it's what we need at this point. So what's going on in California? So you already know this. So here we are, we have the economy, and now we're here in California. So the migration trend continues. People are leaving California. And in California, the people that are leaving are movie stars, athletes, and things like that with higher incomes. So with higher incomes leaving, I told you about property tax, income tax, and those taxes aren't being paid. So then there's your budget again. So you see a downfall in your revenues. The lower and middle income people are staying here. There's also postponement of personal income tax and corporation tax. A lot of people were happy. I didn't have to file my taxes in April, but then you have to file it in October. But because people didn't file in April, there's a shortfall of money for the schools. So now we don't see this amount of money, maybe about $42 billion until October when everybody starts filing their taxes. 12 counties are projected to lose about 10,000 students between 22, 23, and 31, 32. 18 counties will lose students at a rate faster than the statewide average of 8.27. This is in California. Commercial real estate, because of COVID, a lot of people did not return back to work. So now there's open leases and there's empty businesses. And you see that when you're driving down the street. There's a current, we talked about last year, the arts and music grant. So now there's an expected reduction of $1.78 billion in arts and music. And there's also negotiations that may change this reduction from 1.78 billion to about 200 million. We hope that that will happen and we won't see the 1.78 billion dollars because we did count that in our budget last year. We assumed that we possibly would get that money. Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant proposes to reduce the funding by $2.5 billion according to the May revise, but negotiations say maybe only $500 million, and we won't know this until they've finished. Our UPP, I'm sorry, Mr. Bell?
I hope I'm not interrupting.
No,
but
you're fine.
When you talk about the negotiation, I mean, how does that, I'm just, what creates the negotiations?
It's the legislature, I'm sorry, it's not the bargaining units here, it's the legislature. So the UPP trend counts, and we talked about that before, how we're starting to trend down, but I wanted you to know that all of California is trending down. 2.8 average decline over the last 5 years in most districts. More than 30 districts are no longer receiving the concentration grant, and when you hit below 55%, you lose your concentration grant. We are currently at about 61%, where we used to be around 72. Employee benefit prices have gone up. Kaiser has said their rates will increase from between 10.5 and 12%. There's investments in special ed, and they propose a COLA for that, and that's a good thing. So out of all these things, this thing at the bottom about special ed is important, and they are starting to look at that. And so we are looking forward to that, because we will need that, Duarte, California, but especially Duarte. So these are the things that happens when we start building the budget. We look at our decline in enrollment, the ADA protection, where we before last budget, last June, I told you that we would do the 3-year minimum, and that's what the ADA protection loss is. I'm sorry, three-year average. Our expiring one-time funds, usually that's our COVID money that's disappearing, and so it will go away 9/30/23 and 9/30/24, and then we'll be finished with all our COVID fund. Compensation costs, this is our increase in salary and benefits, and then also our medical and costs are going up.
Ma'am?
Yes, sir.
So September the 30th, 23, that's when the
There's
expiring funds.
remember we talked about ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3.
Right.
So ESSER 2 is 9/30/23, ESSER 3 is 9/30/24.
Thank you.
So this is just an overview of why I'm standing in front of you today, the legalities of it's time to present a budget and have you adopt the budget, and we have to give it to LACO, and we file it after this meeting. So this is our projected funded ADA and UPP count. So the projected funded ADA was an average, and that's the 3-year average, and this is the graph that shows you from 1920 to 25-26. And so we are being paid about $13,000 per student. Our projected UPP count to the right, you see at one point we were about 71% in 1920, and in 25-26 we project about 61%. And you have to remember, if we go below 55%, then we will lose our concentration grant. So our revenue assumptions for 23-24 are the loss control funding formula. Our projected enrollment is about 2,940. Attendance rate is 92%. So all of our, for the most part, our 3,000 children are coming to school every day, which is great, and that's what we want to see. Our funded ADA is the average of those, of our ADA, so that's our 3-year average of 3,000. There's a cost of living adjustment, about 8.2%. Our unduplicated pupil count dropped from 65% last year to 61%. And that also resulted in a 36% reduction in our concentration grant. Federal revenues, ongoing revenues continue to drop because we are going to lose. We lost ESSER 1, and now we will lose ESSER 2, but we are spending that, and we're spending ESSER 3. So those funds are being accounted for. State revenues of art and music grant and the learning recovery grant, there's an expected reduction. These are our expenditure assumptions, so what do we spend our money on? So this is our classroom sizes based upon our contract, increases in step and column, cost of living, STRS and PERS. STRS is about the same, PERS continues to increase. Special ed budget deficit of about $6 million for Duarte, and our routine maintenance is about $8 million. We were able to provide a salary and benefit increase to DUEA for 7%, with an increase of $10,000 for our medical, and CSEA took an 8% salary increase. So this is the part of the presentation where I show you the multi-year projection, and I usually show it to you all at one time. But I wanted to make sure that you understood the projection, so I took each slide and did each year, and then at the end, you'll see that all three are together. So our revenue is what we bring in. There's two things that fund the general fund. It's unrestricted funds and restricted funds. Remember, unrestricted funds are your LCFF, and for the most part, salaries are paid out of that part, and anything that is not saying that it has to be restricted, we pay services out of these things. Restricted are like Title I, Title II, Title III, things like that. So our revenue for 23-24 is about $61 million, and our expenses are about $60 million. And we are okay in our unrestricted, but our restricted in 23-24, there's a deficit of almost $6 million, which means this is the first part where we see that our funds are starting to leave. So remember, our restricted money would be our COVID money, the titles and things like that. So this is where this money is starting to go away from the total revenue. Our contributions, about that $7 million, is just the wash. It's the money we set aside for special ed and for our routine maintenance. And so we put that money in and then we pay it out the other, so it just goes back to a zero balance. So at the end of this multi-year projection, we have about $4 million left over. Next slide, please. 24-25. So in 24-25, you notice the revenues went from $61 million to $54 million. So now you see where our expenses are exceeding our revenues at $56 million. So our deficit, again, you look at your unrestricted, and this is again where your money starts to disappear. And there's about $6 million deficit in restricted, which means there's a $2 million total deficit regarding your funds, your surplus or your deficit, but it's your deficit about $2.4 million. Our contribution, we projected to go up a little bit, where it was $7 million, you notice $8 million in it now. And you go further down and then you see our committed leftover. At one point, it was in 23-24, you remember it was $4 million. And now our committed leftover looks at $310,000. Next slide, please. 25-26. 25-26, our revenue shows $53 million. You remember in 23-24, it was $61 million. Our deficit now looks like $3 million because, again, on our restricted funds, we've lost, again, $6 million where we had already counted that money. And this money is, again, most of it is your COVID money. Your expenses are exceeding your revenues. We have to take into account any salary increases. Our contribution went up just a little bit. It's $8.3 million. And then our deficit is looking at about $3 million. You continue to go down the line. Our committed leftover is now negative $4.9 million. So this is a multi-year projection altogether. You'll notice at the bottom left-hand corner, it says that we need to always maintain at least $3 million to run 1 month of payroll.
Could you say that one more time? That
We
part?
need to maintain at least $3 million to run 1 month of payroll. These are ongoing restricted funds. This is where we tell you our titles, LCAP, Title I, and what we've spent so far as of June 1st, and how much more money we had for those last 30 days. So this will be recalculated. So we will add this up at the end of this week to see where we turned out. You can do the next slide. This is Title II, Title III, restricted lottery. Our CTE is a not an expense, it's revenue. You said you liked this slide, so we put it back in for you. It's the general fund expenditures, and it shows you where the majority of our money goes to. Certificated salaries at 33%, classified 13%, benefits for the entire staff, about 23%, supplies, services, 23%. Our fund cash balances, we have, I think, 10 funds. All funds are positive. Next slide, please. These are our COVID funds. And so I'm showing you here, ESSER 1, 2, 3, our gear, our ELOG, the deadline for use, what we've encumbered as of May 31st, and what's remaining. Again, these numbers will be adjusted at the end of the year, fiscal years, which should be tomorrow. And this will be included in our unaudited actuals. So our next step is to finalize the adoption of the budget, and we have to submit a AB 1200 to LACO. We have to submit a budget stabilization plan to LACO to discuss an action plan for our deficit and what we plan on doing to maintain solvency. Are there any questions?
Could you go back to one slide?
Yes,
Just-
sir.
I just want to,
Which one?
the last slide you had. I'm
The
sorry.
multi-year?
The one that was before the next step. Yes.
That one?
Maybe it was this one. Just scared.
Was it back just one slide? I think
Yeah, one slide from
So
the, from,
forward, maybe the second to the last one, maybe?
I think the,
Is it do you want the one that has the dollar image on it, Mr. Bell?
Or after that?
it was the last slide before the before it ended.
So go
So-
forward, another one,
Yeah, one more, right.
another one. Well, another one.
No, I think you're going backwards.
Yeah.
Go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, go,
Keep going. Keep
and then
going.
maybe slide 20.
Keep going.
That-
Right there.
There you
Right
go.
there. Thank you.
we go.
thank you.
So there's still a little bit of money coming on the COVID funds?
There's still money available on your ESSER 2 and ESSER 3. There's a lot left on ESSER 3.
Speak more.
Yeah, we have a whole nother year. That's 2024. So ESSER 2 is about 68,000, and we've probably spent that now at the time of this report, 9/30/23. So the last week, Dr. Hillman was working really hard to make sure we put all this money where it should go. Yeah. But I'm saying to close the book so we can see that.
Thank you for being
You're
here.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
Any questions, anything else to ask, or?
Yes, thank you. On the multi-year projection, where we had the 3 years together, I don't know, I appreciate the red exclamation points down there at the bottom. I don't know, when I see all this red, I mean, if I were to look at my personal budget, and Megan does all of our budgeting, I'll just say that much. But if I saw this, I would immediately be Googling, how much is a kidney worth? So, I mean, I know we have a budget stabilization plan, but I guess in your experience, when we look at these projections, how red is this really gonna stay? And if it is really gonna look like this, I mean, do we need to be doing stuff now and not waiting until later to do something about it? Sorry, that's a big question.
No, it's not a big question. It's just the right answer. So let me.
Well, a little small answer though, huh?
So, 2 years ago, when I took this seat, you were $4.6 million. You had a budget stabilization plan that said $4.6 million, just holding. That was 2 years ago. We lived on the COVID money, and so we've kicked the can down the road as far as we can. The COVID money is now expiring, and you're back to your $4.9 million. So nothing changed. We received increases in the COLA, and then we pass out raises. We did close the school, and we saw some changes. Going forward, We need to be steadfast in negotiations. We need to look at furloughs. We need to, because we've spent money, and there's services that can't be cut. We've looked at services that we have for our students. Our staff is thin. Every staff member has 14 jobs. So there's not much more in that area, in employment, where to say you had to lay off somebody. If you laid off somebody, it would be a big deal. So in this particular instance, people aren't having children. So some things are out of our reach. Schools are funded by property taxes. Schools are funded by income taxes. Schools are funded by people. We have to bring people into the schools, and we have to maintain the students that we have here. This 4.9, there's revenue that can be, additional grants would help us. Revenue from the land lease will help us, from people moving into the city, programs at the schools that attract people to come here. But if the presentation shows this is California, so we're not the only people, it's just this affects us now. And so the UPP count drops, and that's an issue. We have a big campaign that we can go out and have people fill those forms out and things like that. But that's gonna be a tough fight too, because people know that school lunch is free, so they don't wanna fill out the forms. So we have to push and educate our community that these forms help us fund our districts. And it's not a form of the enemy, it's a form to help our community and to help our district, because it brings in money. If we don't fill out the form and we drop below 55%, then again, we lose additional funding. So our COVID funding is going to leave. And when our COVID fund starts to leave, and you looked at restricted and unrestricted, some of their salaries are in restricted, and now we have to put them back into restricted because they were being funded through COVID. So it's like one hand over the other, almost like a double Dutch game. You're in, you're out. They're trying to make sure where you are. But going forward, we have to be more prudent in the decisions we make and what we spend money on.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it seems like for the unrestricted dollars, we're being really good with those. I mean, we're under budget all the time on those, but those restricted ones, that's where, that's the COVID money that you're talking about that's gonna be expiring and or spent. That's what it's there for. But yeah, hopefully we can come up with some, we meaning all of us in this room can come up with some plans to have that red kind of change to black.
The red will go away. And remember, these are projections.
Yeah.
I'm very conservative, but for the most part, I'm on the money.
Say that part one more time, I'm sorry.
I said, remember, these are projections.
Correct.
I'm very conservative, but for the most part, I'm on the money. Because if you don't walk away with anything else on this screen, notice that your expenses always exceed your revenues. And that's basic math before you do anything else.
Okay. Miranda, you have a question?
More than a question, it's a comment. I know on the bottom left side that we are looking at right now, it's a 1 month certificate and classified salary and benefits. It's $3,145,015.52. Reserves above minimum allows the district to address any uncertainties in funding and any potential economic downturns. What did that mean?
The 3% is to save us. So the 3%, if you were just only looking at the 3%, it's about $1 million. And you're saying, well, $1 million is not $3 million. Again, basic math. That's not gonna save us. But this is, remember, the budget is based solely, when I'm giving you this information, on the general fund. There's other funds that I can go to. So we're here in the general fund, but there's additional funds that I have to, if I have to get it from there, I can get it from there. This isn't all the money the district has, right here.
And what happens if we go with no money?
Well,
I
I'll be
mean, the
home.
public need to know, we need to know.
If you go with no money, the state comes in. The
Okay.
state takes over.
And
I
then
lose
there is
my
no
job.
board, there is nothing, right? It's
I'm
the
sorry?
state. There is no board,
No
there is
board.
nothing, it's just the state that get
The
it.
state comes in and they're not anybody's friend. They'll come in and they get rid of people, cut it down to the bare bones, and bring solvency back to the district, and whatever that means.
And the,
But we're not there.
I know
we're not
that,
there.
but it's something that I remember when that started, many years ago. I mean, there were some school districts that went into that.
Yes,
Yeah, many of
still
them,
are.
because they got it like, what's going on in here, and they were not prepared. But that's why I think that we need to remind ourselves and the public to know, and that we are never safe, only if we have the reserve that is mandated by the state,
that's
by the
right.
county. So I want to go back a little bit to the economy big picture. That was almost at the beginning.
Yeah, Marcelo,
Four,
can you
number
take it,
four.
can you take
Page
it back?
number 4.
Four.
First one. That one.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? When I was reading that, it looks like almost everyone in the country is going through the
country.
same thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, can you please elaborate a little bit deeper into this?
Well, I wanted to make sure, when we were designing this, my team and I said, you know what? I tried to educate the public and the board about the budget. And so I don't want to get up in front of them every time and say, oh, poor Duarte, we don't have any money, it's poor Duarte, it's poor Duarte. I wanted to show you the economy as a whole, because I think we just operate in our own bubble and we don't look on the outside to see, this is the economy as a whole. People can't buy bread, people can't sell their houses, they can't pay mortgages, they can't do certain things. Certain states, minimum wage is $7. Minimum wage is $16 here, but that doesn't mean someone can pay their rent. And so I wanted to make sure that that part was understood. I wanted to make sure that you understood, even though all those things are going on, the governor said they'll protect the loss control funding, that they will stabilize that and make sure we have a starting point to at least fund our schools somewhere. But then it's up to us to be good stewards of what we have left and to maintain all our different grants, all our supplemental and concentration, to make sure we're doing our part. But the government the state has said, we'll give you this loss control funding. You'll have this base. Now, what you do with it, if you go under or say above it, is up to you. So the economy is just showing everybody, this is it as a whole. The whole, like you said, the United States, this is what's going on. I can't speak to other states because I don't know, but I know for a fact, Texas, their minimum wage is $7. Ours is 16. That's a big difference. Different school districts fund different ways in different states. But here in California, it's based upon property tax, income tax, sales tax. And, it's important for people in the community in Duarte to know that although Monrovia borders them, they need to spend money here too, because the sales tax is what gives us money, that funds us. They go spend money in Monrovia, you're funding Monrovia School District, not Duarte School District. So I wanted to make sure they understood. It wasn't just poor Duarte, they're losing their kids, we have no money. It's the big picture, is the United States, and then it's also California, and then it's Duarte.
Right. Yeah, and also on page number 6, I think it is everything is really important, that this report that you are giving us. But I also think that page number 6 is really.
Marcelo,
important.
can you go to slide 6 for us? There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so the same thing. So in California, the big deal again is taxes. If people are not living here and people are leaving, there's no funds. And so I need people to see that too, because people say it in passing, oh, people are leaving, I'm moving to Vegas, I'm moving to Vegas, I'm moving to Dallas. You're doing all these things, but you're leaving California. And so the people here, you're taking your money with you, and we're reducing property tax, sales tax, income tax. So your funds go down again because people are leaving. People can't afford to live here.
And you know, like the point number four, that is that 12 counties are projected to lose 10,000 or more students between 22-23 and 2031-32. That's a lot.
Yeah, and so again, I wanted to make sure people understood that it's just not LA County, it's just not Duarte that continues to lose, you know, anywhere between 80 to 100 kids a year. It's 12 counties in California. It's 18 counties that are losing faster than we are.
And the last one that I will go is the current expected reduction of 1.78 billion, art, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant according to the May revise.
So I think it was last June, I think this grant was $4 million, it was 4.6, I think. It was like $4 million that we thought. And so overall, they said, you know, this will be almost $1.78 billion in this grant that a lot of people counted. I counted it last year. And then now it's a possible, you know, a reduction of $1.87 billion, but the legislation is still arguing, and so hopefully the reduction is only like 200 million. That's a big deal.
And as you know, when we went to Washington, D.C. to lobby to the Congress, we went to various offices of different Congress people. And when we got to their office, we tell them, well, we are here to lobby about special ed. And then they will say, oh, yeah, we know about it, but go ahead and tell the other ones. They are the ones that are against. And we went through the same situation, you know, all the time. And I can see the deficits that we have on the promise that we had for special ed money. We are way, way short on what they promised, 31 billion or something, millions. And they haven't given us that, you know. And so when you think that we receive from the, we got only what is, when we have for special ed, we receive the same amount from the county or the state, the money that we use for any student.
Correct.
But the extra money comes from our budget, right?
That's correct.
And
Right.
so they don't care about that. They don't care. And when I say they don't care, I say our rep, you know, federal reps, Congress. And when you go and ask them, they feel their hands tied because the other parties or the other people will not agree with them. And so at the end, the students pay the consequences, not us, but the students. And that really disappointed me last time that I went up there. So, but I really appreciate your report tonight. It got to our minds, to our hearts to see how difficult education going through right now. So, and it was really good to hear. I wish we can hear the Citrus College presentation was after this, so we will say at least our kids are not paying that much at college level. But thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, Madam President. While we're on this, I was just looking at, talking about 12 counties are projected to lose 10,000 or more students between 2022, 23, and 31 through 32. What's the leading thing for a student's loss? I mean, what's the leading thing for a loss of students?
You mind if I?
The,
Oh, no.
The 13,000? Are they gonna,
Yeah, so I'll just say it in a nutshell. People aren't having as many kids anymore. That's number one. And then to Ms. Bell's point, there is flight out of California. There are many, many families that are relocating because California is, on parts, one of the most expensive states to live in. And so when you take that there's a high cost of living in California. Couple that with there is just a long-term trend of depressed birth rates. There are less and less people having children. They'd rather have fur babies. I mean, you ask them, they're oh, I'd rather have a puppy. It's easier, simpler, right? No, and I mean, I say that, unfortunately, that's what's happening. You ask somebody in their 20s, they're like, oh no, I just love my fur babies. I'm good, I don't need a kid. So the reality to that is that hurts us. Our business is to support kids from 5 years old to 18 years old, 5 to 18. But if and you guys have seen the data and you've heard us say this to the board on multiple occasions, we are now year over year graduating more folks out of MIT and Duarte High School than the number of kinders that are coming in. And so that imbalance is bearing itself out. And so that's a really, really big challenge. But there are a couple of things, since I have the mic, I'm gonna try to strategically put a couple of things on the record here. Number one, the multi-year projection it's red, it is. It assumes a couple of different things, to Ms. Bell's point again. It assumes static, like that if we do nothing, that's what happens. Right? If we do nothing. Right. Well, I hope that the board knows that we are not a team that's gonna do nothing and just let us kind of drift towards that. So that's one thing. We certainly, when I came back from some professional learning that I was doing earlier this month, I immediately came back, met with Ms. Bell and said, strategically, we need to start preparing strategies and different measures that we might be able to take to properly respond if the economy nationally or at the state level continues to deteriorate. We don't know if that's what's gonna happen yet or not, but we're not gonna wait and see, but we will have some strategies in place that we can deploy if necessary. We plan to bring those conversations back to the board in September. So we're gonna be actively planning in anticipation of when those tax rolls do hit in October and November. If it's well below what we would have expected, then we will already have started to discuss with you the different types of things that we might be able to do. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if we go to the slide, I don't know which number it is, but it's the one that has the snazzy one with the dollar bill that's chopped up. Marcella, can you find that one for me? Yeah, we like the dollar bill one. Yeah. All right. So one of the things that jumps off of the page at me about this particular slide is the line item under services and other operating expenditures. That is, for 23-24, we anticipate $14.2 million. It's 23% of the general fund. What is buried in that line item is a lot of cost for agreements, services, programs related to meeting our students' needs. And that's really, and it's important to note that only in as much as we are excited about the opportunities for us to grow and develop more efficiencies, better delivery of services to support students. And if we do a good job, when we do a good job of that, I fully expect that we would reduce that line item, those expenditures there. The last thing I'll say, if we can go back to the multi-year forward one, right there. You'll just remember that line item that's right dead smack in the middle, contribution. Those contributions, that dollar amount is being pulled directly out of the general fund into restricted. And remember, that covers special education program costs as well as routine regular maintenance cost. So there are opportunities in the budget for us to look at program efficiency, look at delivery of services, look at how we coach, support, lead, develop our teaching staff, our leadership staff, to increase the level of efficiency and delivery of services in a way to reduce these costs. Now, lastly, that there are other things that we're already doing. There's other partnerships we're exploring. There are things that we're building, designing, new programs, new innovative things that we believe will also be things that will draw folks to us. So there's a lot of things that are happening, but this is the truest picture as Ms. Bell has laid it out. This is a true picture of where we are right now, and if we just sit on our hands and do nothing, this is the logical kind of path or progression, and that's just not going to be what we do. So, no. Thank you for listening.
Do you have another question, Raina?
No, I just want to comment something. Thank you. You know, it's unbelievable how we are talking about the reason that many people are leaving California, and one of them is the highest prices in everything. But our home, we bought our home many years ago, and my neighbors too, and so, in the prices range in between 75,000 to 160,000, right? The house next door just sold about 3 weeks ago, next to me, 800,000 in the county area. Before, no one wanted to live in there. 800,000, that's what they pay for the house. So, you know, I just thought about it, and I thought, yeah, that's why so many people are leaving. They can afford to live here. So hopefully we can work for our kids and do our best.
We also have very high property taxes, which doesn't help our, you know, anything. I mean, other states have half the amount of the property tax here, so it's very expensive, like she said, to live here. But my question actually was, with the UPP, you said we're 61%, and you said the way to bring up that portion would be to do those forms that you fill out for the cafeteria. Nobody wants to do those forms. You know, you see them and you're like, oh no, I'm not going to ever get that, or it's just a lot of work to do. But that's a way to get extra money to help us out. But when you lose it, what's the purpose? Okay, so when we go below 50, you lose it. What is really the whole factor behind that? It's just because you're getting this money. So what is the big factor behind that? If you lose it, it's not all the schools get it, pretty much. It has to do with most schools, all schools do, but when they hit a certain percentage.
It's a percentage. It's
But when
based
you
upon-
lose it, it's I guess what I'm trying to say is this is based off of low-income kid, how's that based usually?
So if we were to lose our concentration grant, the concentration grant dollars go into the general fund.
Oh, the general fund.
So we get, you get your base grant, then you get your supplemental grant, and then you get your concentration grant. So you get like kind of 3 tiers of money. When you drop below 55%, that third tier, which is actually the tier that you get the highest amount of dollars, that tier goes away. Now you only have tier 1 and tier 2 of the money.
Got it. Okay.
So it will impact significantly the general fund of the budget. It's slightly different than like Title I. Title I is allocated to specific school sites, and that's a federal program as opposed to the UPP driving LCFF and concentration grant dollars, which is state funds. Sorry. Do I have that right, Ms. Bell?
Yeah, and you want to always remember, like, always trying to make the pot level. So where, like I said, in more affluent neighborhoods, their base grant is different, and they might not need the supplemental grant because they're already at 100.
And I think that's
But
what I was
we're at,
getting
like,
at,
50,
was
then we're
the
at
level,
30.
okay.
We're trying to get to 100
Okay.
like that because they're already there. So the base grant gives you the LCFF gives you the base, and then everything in addition, supplemental concentration, brings you up to where these people already are.
I think Dr. Hillman would like to add something.
Yeah, okay.
One thing to think about too is all those actions that we have in the LCAP. Those are funded by supplemental and concentration grant funding.
Okay.
And those go to all of our schools, but very specifically to support the needs of our students who may need other additional help, but ultimately it does affect all of our schools, and it's the actions that are in the LCAP that you'll be approving tonight.
Okay. And I was going to ask too, like, I know Raina mentioned the art and music grant, a 1.7, well, they say 1.778, was $1 million reduction possibly. Billion, sorry, billion, that's going to go through all the schools. Where is that money usually? I mean, it says art and music, but how is it designated in the school usually? Where does that go towards? I mean,
This was new money that was voted on by the in the election most recently. And we were slated to create a plan. It would have brought in new staffing specifically for arts and music. We did not develop the plan at this point, had been kind of holding off because we heard that there was still some question mark as to how much we were actually going to receive. So the guidance from the state wasn't for us, there was no deadline for us to create this plan. So there hasn't been a plan written at this point. I know a lot of people have been interested in it, but until we know how much actually funding that'll realize, we haven't created a plan for that yet.
Okay, I was just curious, because I know sometimes it says art and music, but I'm not sure how it's designated usually. Is it towards, like we say something like, when you say music, is it like band or choir?
So there's two different types of funding
Okay.
that's out here. I don't know if this is the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Grant. That's a one-time funding, but I believe this is the Arts and Music Grant, which is required to have. And arts and music can mean many different things. You create a plan, and it does, as I recall, for this particular plan, there is a requirement for new staffing, which means we have to expand programs, not supplant what we already have.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Which is good, we need to know how much.
Thank you, Tiffany. This has been really, I think we've gone through it pretty well with kind of picking certain things and kind of making more sense out of things that maybe we needed a little bit more information on. But I think James has another question.
Sorry, I do have one more quick question. So I know that, I don't know, last year it seemed like there was some discussion about the state legislature possibly passing something that would fund us based on enrollment rather than ADA. Have we heard any updates on that, on whether or not that's, I see head shaking. So no updates, or is it that it's not happening?
I haven't heard of any updates.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm with Ms. Bell. I haven't heard any specific updates. It was moving away from the ADA model to what was called average daily membership, which is essentially was an enrollment-based model as opposed to an attendance-based model. I know that there was an appetite, and they were looking at that last year. I have not heard it in the calculus for this year. I don't think it's a completely dead on arrival issue. I think it was deprioritized as it stands right now. And I don't think it got pushed really, really hard, and correct me, Ms. Bell, if I'm wrong, because we were still using the rolling three-year rolling ADA average. I think that people were like, okay, I'm not getting hurt yet, but when we start to feel the effects of that's not really supporting or helping like it has been for the last couple of years, there'll likely be a return to that conversation about average daily membership.
I think
I like that term, deprioritize. I feel like if my kids are watching this, I feel like they are going to deprioritize their chores or something like that.
I think that because of the average, it did get deprioritized. It did. And so I think we're almost to the point where the average is just that. It's the actual number. Because I think our average said we were 3,000, but our actual in ADA was like 2940. So we're like right there. And so if you look at the other slides, it said everybody's declining, so at a certain point, they have to pay attention, because then all the schools are not getting funded the way they should. And then they don't want to come back and say, we can't fund our schools, our public schools. And so they have to look at it at a certain point, because this is our second year. So the 3-year average is going to be our average. It's going to be actually the actual number, not the average anymore. So maybe in a year or so, they'll look at it again or start looking at it, because the decline is not only in ADA and enrollment, it's in UPP. And that was what we've never addressed that before. We just came and you guys pushed, and last year we were at, I think, 71st interim or something, and we went back up because you guys went out there and our community came back and they did turn in all the paperwork. And so the same thing now. So our incentive now is to make sure there's computers in each office. There's staff that can help them, walk them through the paperwork. They can put it in their homework folders. They can pass them out in their enrollment forms. They've done all those things too, hoping that will encourage them to turn the paperwork back in, so we don't drop below the 61, and that we can at least try to maintain above 55% and continue to, so we don't lose our concentration. So we're doing things.
I think, I always think, like, I'm going back on PTA, like, in order to grab the most people to fill things out, you do it the day that they walk into the school, and just have like you said, staff or parents or somebody helping them, just say, hey, fill this out. This is maybe make it easier whether you just check the areas that they need to really concentrate on. Because I think it is a confusing form. I think even for myself, I look at it going, this is a lot to put down or to think about, you know, but doing it at the very beginning, like the first thing they come in.
It's in their enrollment packets. They
Yeah.
made sure of that.
And have them say it's really important to fill that one out, because that's one I used to just say, I don't think I'll even qualify, so why am I filling it out? So to make it more important for the parents to know that, so. All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Bell?
Well, yeah, I just want to say thank you very
You're
much for your report. When I had an opportunity to, you know, go in your office to sit down and talk to you a little bit, board members always think we know something. When I went in there, and the way you present the information that we get, and then even reading this report, it's got to be tough for you too, but I just want to say thank you as a board member, 30-some odd years, you have done a great job.
Thank you.
Presenting something that's probably not that pleasant, but I really appreciate the way you handle it. And at least it gives me as a board member an opportunity to know what I'm looking at, so thank you very much.
Honestly, I don't do it by myself. I have a great team, and we sit around our table and we take stuff out and put stuff in, and we say, you know, if you had to explain this to someone that knew nothing, how would you explain it? Because that's the way I would want to understand it too. We try our best to show you and be transparent, and this is what we present. Sometimes it's really long and sometimes it's really short, but we try our best to make sure, and I couldn't do it without my staff.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So moving on, we're going to item 1, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 15th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Madam President,
Oh,
do I get a chance to do superintendent's report?
I'm so sorry. Did I pass it?
Kelly, ready to go, huh?
Wow.
I can reserve my comments. I can hold them to the end if you'd like.
No.
I mean, because I do get a second bite of the apple.
Right. I know we passed, I totally passed that up, sorry. We had such a great report that we
I'll be brief, I promise. Just a few
No, it's
things.
okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. So just a couple of brief things. I was reminded in my preparation calls with the board and preparation meetings with board members for tonight's meeting that, you know, it's June, it's the end of June, and there are things that we have to do, like adopt the budget and adopt the LCAP, so on and so forth. But it's a reminder of the really important work that even though our students and families and community are in many cases enjoying a wonderful summer, there's a lot of work that is happening. So when you look at this agenda, you see what's reflected on this agenda is all about 23-24. It's all about making sure that the necessary steps have been taken, the necessary contracts have been put in place, the necessary agreements have been reached, the necessary analysis have been conducted to make sure that we can open our doors again to our scholars in August and hit the ground running. And so just a quick, tick list of the things that are really important that are on this agenda and that we're moving forward and talking through. Things around the high school gymnasium project is moving forward. Again, our local indicators for the dashboard, our LCAP, the adoption of our budget. We're continuing to do our work on strategic communications and strategic planning. We're continuing to move the work forward to make sure that we can leverage necessary resources and funds to do our Andres Duarte project and move our preschool programs and move MIT and so on and so forth. So that's what this agenda is all about, is making sure that we are laying the foundation for those things to happen. And I just want to remind us that we're always thinking about how do we continue to move the work forward. And then the last thing I'll just say is that we had a wonderful opportunity to have summer school again this year, and nearly 1,000 of our students were taking part in summer school. And so it's just a reminder how much value our families put on a summer school program, and that we offer the value of having a kinder through 12th grade summer school program. That doesn't happen every place. In most places, summer school is focused specifically at the high school level. And so that's a value add. That's another asset that we have as a school district, as a belief that we have that all of our students should have the opportunity to have enrichment and engaging learning opportunities throughout the school year. And so I'm proud of that work. I appreciate our principals, our summer school principals for their leadership, our summer school staff that have given of their time to continue to give our scholars some great learning opportunities. So just kudos to them. And that's the conclusion of my report. Thank you.
What's the date times for the summer school again?
Say it one more time, Mr. Bell.
Dates, summer school dates?
So we ran basically June 1 to June 30
Okay, thank you,
for our summer school program. Yep.
thank you.
Well, the next is request to address the board. Do we have anyone to address the board today?
We do not.
Okay. Okay, moving now on to item 1, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 15th, 2023. Do I have a
So,
motion?
move to approve?
Mr. Bell,
Second.
second by Ms. Diaz. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Item 2, approve the consent calendar. So the next item of business is the adoption of the consent calendar. Does anyone want to remove any item for separate discussion or action? If none, since there's no objection, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move to approve this consent calendar.
First by Mr. Bell,
Second.
by Ms. Hoagie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to item 3, second reading, approval of board policies. May I have a motion?
So move?
By Mr. Bell, second by Ms. Diaz. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, 12, okay, so item 1, okay, that's item 12, is the 2022-2023 California School Dashboard Local Educational Agency, LEA, Local Indicators. May I have a motion?
So move?
By Mr. Bell, second.
Second.
By Dr. Finley. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to item 13.1, resolution number 212223, delinquent tax financing program. May I have a motion?
So move?
By Mr. Bell, second.
Second.
By-
Madam President?
Uh-huh.
I'd love to give a little bit of background and context to this one because I know that,
Yeah.
when we see things like delinquent tax financing program, it is not a negative thing. It is a good thing. And so I'll give some preliminary remarks, and if Ms. Bell has anything she'd like to add, I'd invite her into the conversation as well. So the Duarte Unified School District has been involved in the delinquent tax financing program for some time, for many years, I think dating back to 2002. What that program is the opportunity that we, as Ms. Bell articulated multiple times during her presentation, we're funded off of property tax. It's a portion of the funding calculation. So like any kind of organization or any type of entity, there is outstanding tax that folks are delinquent on. So through the county, those taxes, if they're not paid, there is an underlying piece of collateral that's tied to those taxes, i.e. your property. So if you don't pay your property tax, the county does have a mechanism where they could seize your property for lack of paying your property tax. Well, that is not our purview. We need those funds, but we're not going out and seizing anybody's assets. But we still are owed that money. So what we can do by participating in this program is we can essentially petition to be a part of that program, and then the JPA, who is then responsible for going on and collecting that, will pay us what we're owed, and also give us a 10% premium on top of what we're owed. So it is a no cost. It doesn't cost us anything. There is only really upside to us being able to get those monies sooner, and then be able to allocate them directly to the general fund. So it's a win-win for the district. And I believe since 2002, there's been something to the tune of about $176,000 that's been collected as a result of this. So that's a little bit of the background. Ms. Bell, did I miss anything? No, you didn't. All right, thank you.
Can't buy a new one.
Figure out this technology.
You can't buy a new one.
She's gonna do a mic drop, is what she's gonna do, I can see it.
I think she said that Dr. Hillman called her Beyonce. Well, my mic was off, at least, so maybe. Go ahead, Ms. Bell.
No, what you said was accurate. We appreciate what the JPA does because we wouldn't be able to retain this money or ascertain this money if they didn't go after it for us. It's the JPA, as you know, is like entities get together and pool their money together for a common goal, and their goal is to go back and get the extra money. So they benefit from it, but it's just a way for us to get it, and then we can utilize this property tax as our revenue. So without any work from us, they will bring the money to us.
Thank you. I just wanted to give that context for the members of the board. Thank you, Ms. Bell.
Any questions from which, okay? Any other questions? Okay, since we see none here, yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to 13.2, resolution number 2022-23 of the Board of Education of the Duarte Unified School District authorizing the assurance of Duarte Unified School District election of 2020 general obligation bonds, Series B, and action related thereto. May I have a motion?
So move.
Mr. Bell. Second?
Second.
By Ms. Hoageen. Any discussion on this?
Yes.
Yes, I have, oh, go ahead, Ms. Holking.
Sorry. Dr. Emerson, can you explain what Series B means?
Absolutely. Thank you, Board Member Hoageen. So when we do, when we take bonds as a result of the district putting on the ballot in 2020, Measure S, that ballot initiative was for $79 million. The community supported that request for those funds. And as a result of that, then we now sold bonds, and when we sold the first round of bonds, that was Series A, or the first round, if you will. So those Series A bonds were drawn, and they are currently encumbered to support the high school modernization project for the tennis courts, the high school gymnasium, et cetera, et cetera. What we are now asking the board to do this evening is to approve a resolution that gives us the authority to then seek to issue Series B bonds, or the second round. And that second round will continue the round out of the high school gymnasium project, as well as support leveraging the resources necessary to transition our preschool program, as well as MIT High School. So that's the difference between Series A is the first round, Series B, second round, Series C will be the third round, which will be years into the future.
Just curiosity, what was the first amount that was taken out for the A?
Do you recall, Ms. Bell? And if not, we can follow up.
29.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Series A, we believe, was 29 million. Series B, we're estimating will be roughly around 26 million. We'll confirm what Series A was, and we'll follow up in the board update.
Okay.
So the board has that.
Did you have a question? I think you had one.
It was the same.
Oh, same idea. Okay.
Trustee.
Okay, so no other discussion on this? Do I have, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. 13.3, approval of the Duarte Unified School District adopted budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Bell, second
Second?
by Dr. Finley. Any discussion? Okay, I guess no other questions or discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye, motion carried. Now we're going to 13.4, approval of the Duarte Unified School District 2023-2024 Local Control and Accountability Plan, LCAP. Do I have a motion?
So move.
By Mr. Bell. Second. And by Ms. Diaz. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye, motion carried. 13.5, Budget Stabilization Plan Update for fiscal years 2023-24 and 2024-2025. Do I have a motion? So moved. By Ms. Diaz, second.
Second?
By Dr. Finley. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 13.6, Bernard's is it, how do you pronounce Bernard Brothers? Bros. Okay, Incorporated, guaranteed maximum price GMP for Phase 2 construction for Duarte High School Sports Complex. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by Dr.
Second.
By Mr. Bell, second by Reina Diaz. Discussion?
Just real quick question. What's the guaranteed price? Why did they have to throw that in there?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Mr. Bell. So the board may recall that for the high school tennis courts project, we chose to do what was called a multi-prime CM delivery model, which was kind of that hard bid where then we had to come back and do some change orders and things like that. Well, then we proposed in collaboration with Ms. Bell's office as well as our construction management firm, we proposed to the board to use a leaseback delivery model, which basically says the entire thing all kind of under one umbrella. And as a part of that leaseback project, they give us a guaranteed maximum. This is guaranteed how much the maximum it's going to cost. Now, what you also may recall in that presentation is that they made very clear that hopefully that there will be basically credits back where here's the maximum, but if we stay on budget, ahead of budget, there could be a credit coming back to the district. So that's why this is very different, and this is why you don't have 7 different, you don't have a plumbing line, you don't have an asphalt line, a demo line, an electrical line. You just have, this is the entire kit and caboodle. And then because this is all under that same umbrella. Yeah, so that's why they do a guaranteed maximum price.
So Dr. Amerson, does that mean that if, 3 months from now, there's a shortage of cement all of a sudden and they have to pay more for it, do we incur that cost or they just have to kind of eat that?
That is a great question, and I have no idea the answer to that. I mean, because we are in this rapidly changing environment, but Ms. Bell, any thoughts? Because we can definitely go and find out.
Did you say the cement?
Yeah, the cement or
No.
piping,
I'm
lead,
teasing because
copper, whatever.
Cement is expensive.
The whole building is cement. I'm like,
So we don't want any run on cement.
the big project of it.
That's a great
building
point.
the wall.
I'm gonna go buy stock in cement right now. So
Well, if you remember with the tennis court, that was one of the big things too, the cement. And so we have a contingency, and so in that contingency, we have a couple million on that, just in case something happens. So in case they don't stay in that 30 million, we still have a backup. The hope is that what they've quoted us, the cement vendors, that's what it will be, but we noticed in the tennis court, things went up as we were building. And so this whole building is cement. They have to literally build the walls and then erect them. So
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Tilt
So
up, yeah.
I will hope not, but yes.
all right,
But
let's
there's a
cross our
contingency.
fingers.
There's a
Yeah.
contingency, so we have-
It's never what the cost, usually it's within that realm, but then it goes more because of other things. So it stays within the box. So,
But to Ms. Bell's point, that is why they build in the contingency fund as well. And remind me, I think the contingency is built into the guaranteed maximum price, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of that's built into it.
So then if there is not a run on cement, then in theory, we should get a little bit of money back.
Yeah, back to that credit potential. Yes.
All right,
Good.
sounds good. All right.
all right. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, now we come down to item 14, non-agendized item by board members. And so this is where we want to say a few things. Start, Mr. Bell, do you want to start? Or
Just,
again, you want to go back?
no, I'm ready to talk. Whoever did the citrus connection,
Okay.
I really appreciated that. I needed to hear it. And they're great partners. And just thinking about how many of our kids get that college education, and they've even come here to get our kids to even go back over there. So I'm just saying, that was probably one of the best connections that we've had that I can remember in a long time. And I'm very, very happy that Citrus is here. And I believe with Ms. Alexander being someone in this community, we have also another direct connection we can have to make sure that we stay connected to them. And I'd like to see the international programs that they interested to hear what we do. They'd love to have some of our kids, if they came here and then went to Citrus, they'd love it. So whoever did it, I'm glad it happened, so I appreciate it.
You're done?
Yes. I have something I can't read, so I must be done. little bit short, so. But, yeah. I'm good, thank you.
Okay. I guess down the line, Ms. Hogan?
I just want to say, Tiffany, thank you. You and your staff for explaining the budget. It was like Budget 101. I mean, it's pretty, basically basic, you know, black and white. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I know it was hard to do. That's it.
Diaz?
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to say that it is really a blessing and a great help from the partnership of Duarte Unified School District and Citrus College for the benefit of our students.
Yes.
Many of them cannot afford to pay any community college classes. And this is an amazing, amazing opportunity. I was wondering, do you know if PCC offer any early college classes? Sorry, okay. They do? And did they offer that to our students too, or no? I
Go
see.
ahead. I see Dr. Hillman.
Yes.
You want to weigh in?
So they may, and I can't speak with authority. With our partnership, we help our students directly enroll, and that's how we ensure that we get them enrolled in that program. So that's kind of the entree that we provide for our students. We don't have that same partnership with Pasadena City College. They may have that same program, but I think the student would have to sort of navigate that on their own.
I see. I did, and the question, and I asked because I did ask one of my neighbors where her daughter was going to, and she said she was going to PCC, and I told her, is she gonna have a free ride? And she goes, I don't think so. And her mom is a graduate from high school, so our high school. And so I told her the benefits, and her daughter attend early classes, college classes in our school, high school. So I don't have the idea, what idea she has in her mind that the difference to go to Pasadena and pay high, fees and not going to Citrus. So I was just, thinking. Anyway, I would like to say that I know many of us are here either working or volunteer, however we do, to help our students. I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you to Patty Garcia, that I know her last day is going to be tomorrow, if I'm not wrong. And she did help a lot teachers, a lot of substitute teachers, personally did help to many people that I know, and she makes a difference in our school district. I think it is really important that when they retire to enjoy the rest of their life too. And I think Patty is ready to do. She loved to walk many places and the arboretum, all those places. And so I just wish the best for her. I also would like to say to Miss Tiffany, thank you. It was like a conversation in Spanish with you. I did understood everything. I did even went and look into what the restaurants and business are in Duarte and not any other city, so I can go and make my grocery shopping and everything that I need to go. And so it is good for us to know how we benefit our kids too. So thank you, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you tonight. We did spend a lot of time in what we need to spend the time tonight. And it is really good to be able to go home and say, it was well done. We know what we're going through, we know what the risks are, and we know what we can face in the future. But we also trust our superintendent and his team. So thank you. And with that, thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mercedes.
Okay. Dr. Finley?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. You know, I am of an age that I remember getting a newspaper on my front doorstep when I was younger. I didn't really read it except for the comics. But I remember getting those, and I remember thinking when I was younger, you know, I know how painful it was for me to type out a, you know, one-page essay on Romeo and Juliet or something like that. It was, I hated doing it. And I remember thinking one time, oh my gosh, somebody had to type this entire newspaper. And I think, you know, that's something that, for the most part, most people read a couple articles in there and then it goes in the bottom of their bird cage, right? And that's it. And I think that sometimes we forget about how much work and effort goes into producing something like that. And that came to my mind as I looked at this presentation. And so I want to thank, you know, Ms. Bell for that effort, and for Dr. Hillman for presenting the trailer of the work last meeting. So, you know, I'm incredibly grateful as a board member to all the people that help put these presentations and documents together, that really help digest down some, you know, mounds of information into something that is easily digestible for the board. So I want to make sure that everyone is recognized for that hard work, because I know that everybody down at that table, you know, you all definitely make Dr. Emerson look good, and I think he recognizes that too. Yes, sir. So, you know, and the last thing I want to talk about really quickly was summer school. This year, all three of my kids participated in it. They are 3 of the 1,000 kids from DUSD that participated, and you know, it's. I mean, I'll be frank. They really enjoyed it. So it's something that, you know, I don't recall once over this month my kids woke up and said, oh, do I have to go to school today? Probably because they know the answer is yes, but I think it's also because they really did enjoy it. I mean, my 16-year-old daughter took the history of rock and roll from Dr. Lamone. I didn't get anything like that when I was in high school. I probably would have done summer school. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, that's just something that I think our district really deserves a pat on the back for providing, you know, some really engaging coursework for our kids that will allow them to not sort of go through that summer dip or whatever it's called in learning. And, you know, so I really appreciate that the district put that on. And with that said, my kids are ready for summer, real summer. So thank you.
I think I'm just going to echo what everybody said. Just really quickly, when I went to PCC, so I'm going to say my brother went to Citrus. And we lived in the San Gabriel area, so it was closer for me to go PCC, but he decided to go to Citrus because it was easier to find parking space there. It really was. I mean, if you ever went to PCC and you tried to park there, you had to wait 45 minutes or so. You have to find, a spot and sit there and wait for people. But Citrus, you just glided right in. There's way more parking space there. So I'm going to say that is so much, so I always knew Citrus as being the better place to go for parking. But, I mean, that's how I saw it. I mean, yeah. No, you should go PCCs.
Madam President, I disagree because the first day that I went to Citrus College in 1998, I missed the first class because I was looking into where to park. I went all the way up to out in the street. There was no parking. So I missed my first class.
But PCC, they had to build an extra structure for it, and that was back in the upper 90s. So, but I remember everybody who went to Citrus did say it was much easier compared to PCC, but to get to that point. But I think we, like Brayna said, and I said earlier, I think we're really blessed. I feel like we were the school that was the special school that was chosen for that four-year college. Because when I asked years ago, do you do this for other schools? And they said, no, we can't do it for all the schools. But we were picked, a special pick. We were like handpicked to do this. And I feel really like we were just extra. I don't know. It's a blessing that we did get picked because there's. Like I said, it's growing, and I think it's such a great opportunity for, kids I mean, just think of it. Kids that go to four-year university will say, I should have done this. I know that. There's a lot of them that said they thought about this, they should have done it. And this would have taken out at least 2 years out of their schooling, so if they would have just completed it. But otherwise, not much said. I'm going to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. It's coming around the corner, and that's on Tuesday. And we're going to have actually big fireworks in our own school district right here in our field. So I think it's a fun celebration. I've gone to it every day, every year. And let me tell you, those fireworks are amazing. We have some great fireworks here in Duarte.
It'll be at the high school?
Yeah, it's going to be here at the field. So. But it's a great, I thought it was going to be this small little thing, and the first year I went, I was like shocked how great the fireworks and the music and the entertainment and the food and just how many people come out to see it. So have a great 4th of July, everyone. Oh, it's on the 3rd. Sorry, it's not 4th of July. It's actually the day before, which I like even more because you have that extra day to say, hey, you can hang out with your family, and the next day, just hang out with you don't have to be rushed to go to see any fireworks because you see it on the 3rd. Oh, you go to the other city. You do double. All righty. But thank you again, Tiffany, and everyone under you that worked really. This was definitely, like you said, it takes team effort and work to get this stuff, all this information together. And Nadia with your LCAT, everything that you do too. This is. I look, like James said, you look at all the work that goes into this written, documents here, and I don't know how you do it. It takes a lot of, I guess, work or teamwork to do it. So thank you. It's very informative.
So just a couple of things. One of there was a question about PCC and whether they have similar programs or similar access for our students. We can double check and confirm, but most colleges and universities, so community colleges and universities, they normally have what's called an LSA, or a local service area, which creates a geographic area where they will specifically cater to those particular students. So we're in Citrus's local service area, so our students do get preferential treatment. So you did hear Dr. Scholes talk about the Citrus Promise. So a student in Pasadena Unified wouldn't necessarily qualify, I'm assuming, for the Citrus Promise because they would qualify for the PCC Promise. It's not to say that our students couldn't go there, but they may not have the same preferential options. The other thing is, I was thinking in my head, I said, okay, the great opportunity that's there for students in early college is really, really important, but what about students that, not every student at Duarte High School is enrolled in early college. It's about 23% of the students are enrolled in early college. But now with the Citrus Promise, if you are a first attending, you pay nothing. So you didn't even have to be in the early college program to still go to Citrus for free. So there's a lot of opportunities, and Mercedes nudged me really violently over here. No, she didn't. She nudged me. She said, we really need to market. We need to market this. We need to market the early college and the Promise program, because we can't sit and assume that people know. We just have to stop sitting and assuming that people know about the opportunities and the value that is actually there. And then the last thing I'll say, well, I have two more things. Again, just kudos to the entire team that is over there, from Mr. Crosby's tireless work to make sure that schools are staffed and that we have what we need to make sure that we can work in partnership with our associations, and then we can work with our attorneys and do that work. It's really, really important. Dr. Hillman's tireless work on the LCAP and the dashboard and FPM and special education and all of that it's a lot of work. And then Ms. Bell on the budget and honestly being the really sobering counterweight to me, because I haven't seen a bill that I didn't want to spend. I want to spend. I do, and she's a good counterbalance to that. But what she has leveraged quite effectively is a team. So it is not uncommon to walk over to the business department and literally see 3 or 4 people, 5 people huddled in her office around the table, looking at the board, figuring out like how to solve a problem, how to solve a business problem, how to build the budget, how to deal with, how do we code these international students? Oh, we got to figure that out. Or how are we going to figure out how to get this gymnasium under budget? Like literally, these are things that are happening. So all of those things are happening, and I do have the fortunate opportunity to benefit from their hard work. It helps me do my job. It helps me represent you all, and it helps us service our kids. So I think that's really, really important. So thank you to the team. Thank you to on my left, but my right hand, who make sure that I'm where I need to be when I need to be there, and make sure that I don't make the board members mad. That's right here. So, and then lastly, I do want to take a moment, and he's not here in the room again, but Greg Schultz is really a top-notch person. So he and I text back and forth. I mean, it's like we've been friends for 10 years, and he's like, he'll shoot me a text, and I'm like, oh yeah, we can work on that, or I'll shoot him a text, and he's like, oh, I'm on it. And literally, I text him, and 10 minutes later, he's responded. He's running an organization with tens of thousands of students and hundreds of and thousands of employees, but if I call, he responds almost immediately. And that tells me a lot about him as a leader, him as a person, and I know that he's a steadfast partner. So I just want to again just say thank you to Dr. Schultz for his work. Lots of work to still be done. Thank you, board, for the opportunity to serve and to do this work. That's all I have.
Okay, Marina?
I just want to ask you, Dr. Emerson, the early college classes are offered only at the high school, or their kids from the academies that come to the high school too? If they are at...
Yeah, the early college is only for our high school students. However, we do have students come from the academy to take an elective class, but it's not an early college class.
Not early college.
Yeah, only the
I
high
see.
school students are actually enrolled in the early college.
Okay,
program.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And I just like to say that you say Mercedes is in your left hand, but you call her but you write with your left hand. So she's in the right place.
That's true. Don't write that down.
And it's very nice to be up here. And when you're talking and making a comment, I look at you, but then I look at them.
Yep.
And they compliment each other every time that you say anything about them. And I like to see them how they smile. It makes us feel like this is a very formal meeting where we make decisions, but it's good to see that friendship. Yes,
Mr. Crosby, do you have anything to say? Because you're awfully quiet today.
I'm good.
You're good, okay. All righty. Anyone have anything else to say before I adjourn this meeting? Okay. I guess item 17, adjournment of the meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Bell, second? By Ms. Hoageen. And any discussion anymore? Okay, we close it out. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Marcelo.
Oh, see, the Mormon community